All right, you are good.
Okay, it is 7 p.m. on January 26th. I'm going to call to order this work session or whatever is on our agenda.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Shush.
So if the people from Beckett, I'm gonna butcher the name, Berenice.
Yeah.
Got it. Perfect.
If you have content to share, you are open to share it over the Zoom.
Awesome.
I thought that, oh, here's Travis. He's going to start it off.
Thanks. Well, hey, thanks, Jason. Thank you to all of you trustees, fiscal officer, everybody. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Just to start off, my name's Travis Beckett. Just to give you a little background for me, I majored in political science from Ohio State. Since graduating school, first I got out of school and from there worked in banking and finance for years and got connected with Barbara. And now what we're doing, helping local townships just like yourself. Barbara has been working with townships, advising them for over 35 years. Fun fact, she was actually a fiscal officer for a local township in Cleveland for several years, and then also served as county treasurer. And John, who we have on with us here as well, John is our legal counsel. He has a private law practice that has an emphasis on local government law. And while he helps us help townships like yours gain additional revenue, I thought it'd be great just to have him on here as we're discussing. If there's questions you want to ask him, I just think he's a great resource and wanted you guys to meet the whole team. The main emphasis of what Beckett and Berenice, financial analysts, do is we help local townships like yourself gain additional revenue that's legally due to you, that through our preliminary analysis, we find that you're not getting. Obviously, the main question trustees and fiscal officers like yourself will ask is, well, how much does it cost? What do we have to pay up front? The reality is there's nothing that we ask for up front. Per contract, should you decide to allow us to partner with you, we will identify exactly where and how you can get that additional revenue. We will show you every step of the way how that works, and we'll also work with your fiscal officer to show her, how we're doing it. So going in the future, you guys are going to be even more equipped to make sure you're maximizing the amount of revenue you can get. And only until you guys receive the additional revenue that was due to our efforts, as confirmed by your fiscal officer, is the point where we get paid. And that's per our contract. So that's essentially the basis of how we work and what we do. And before I ask questions, I know Barbara has several things to share. I'll kind of pivot to her and let her share her background and how we're going to be able to help you guys.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah.
As Travis indicated, I was a fiscal officer of a township, a fairly nice sized township in Geauga County, which is near Cleveland. And afterwards, I was the county treasurer. It was during the time I was actually the fiscal officer that I recognized that there were aspects of the finances that it needed a more thorough investigation. And with the help of a township attorney, we were able to gain money for a township. And that resulted in several years later, my starting this company with the same idea of contacting townships, school districts, villages, and cities. And prior to that, doing a preliminary analysis of that particular subdivision to make sure, in fact, I was going to, if the contract was received, you would be aware of additional revenue that you were not receiving that you should be receiving. So with that in mind, I have indicated already that I have already received documents from the Department of Taxation here in Ohio and the state auditor's office, regarding certain of these revenue sources. First of all, the tax rates in certain of your taxing districts, and I know you have several because you have quite a bit of annexation going on down there, at least in the past. And to correct that, that would help you receive more revenue. Additionally, the Undivided Local Government Fund, a copy of which I'll be receiving shortly for your county, is another aspect of revenue where I have been very successful in gaining an additional amount through some error on either the county auditor's part or the state's part in allocating that money. And thirdly, the most easiest of all the revenue sources that I review happens to be the motor vehicle fund, wherein the address on your application for a license is used, in fact, to distribute money to that particular subdivision. And at times, because you do have villages and cities within your boundaries, and possibly the postal officer is one of those cities, that information on the application for a vehicle license happens to put Lebanon down, say, and an error could occur during the application of the law that they would be receiving the funds from that particular entity or person's motor vehicle license application. So these are some of the three that I feel I'm going to start with. In fact, if you do retain us, and I will in fact provide you all the information at the end of this, and only if you want to go further when I provide this information to gain this revenue, will we do it. I do not do anything without your permission. I'm very careful about speaking to any of the local officials regarding this. I'm just attuned to person relationships, especially since I held elective office in the past. If you have any questions, I'll only be too happy to address them.
I have just a question.
Sure.
Have you worked with any other entity within Montgomery County?
You know, years ago, I represented all the townships in Montgomery County. The Township Association president took care of it. What we did was the Township Association, those townships in your county, contracted with me to do an analysis of their finances and their taxes. And according to what their assessed value was to the whole of all the township was how their percentage in payment was made. So we were successful in that endeavor. It was a really nice experience for me. And yes, I have worked in Montgomery County. It's many years ago, but I'm sure I could locate the townships I represented. Is that sufficient, or is there any other questions?
Well, that's fine. That's all I had right now. Trustees?
Yeah. So I am familiar with your townships, although that was several years ago.
Yeah, I believe Trustee Wynn and myself met with you and Travis during the 2020 OTA conference in Columbus, right when they were tearing everything down, and got some time with you guys, and was really impressed by the details you guys provided just in a conversation. So definitely.
I've spoken with Travis a couple times, and I think most of my questions have been answered. I think, you know, really at this stage for me, it kind of comes down to Rhonda's questions, because Rhonda would probably be the one in communication with them the most. At least that's you know what I'm thinking. I can't think of any questions I haven't already asked.
Well, let me review again. So you mentioned the motor vehicle fund with the license, the annexation, and then the Department of Taxation would be the three that you stated where we could save money, correct?
Well, motor vehicle license, hopefully you would receive more revenue. The undivided local government fund, it would be a revenue enhancement for the township. And your tax revenue from the county auditor's office, that would in fact already, I see some increase already in the work I've done. So those three there's others, but those three are mainly the funds that townships rely on.
So when you mention about the tax revenue from the county auditor's office,
Yes.
are we talking inside millage, outside millage?
We're talking both. There's your voted levies have a reduction factor. And sometimes there's errors in that reduction factor as it moves from year to year. I have been very successful, especially in Lake County, where they had the Perry nuclear power plant, where there was a terrible mistake on the part of the county auditor's office. And that particular fund increased their tax revenue significantly when it was corrected. It was due to the fact that the voted levy wasn't recognized as with its reduction factors. Secondly, the undivided local government fund was one of the first funds as a fiscal officer that I challenged, and we were successful there, and that's been part of my work ever since. We are going to receive from the state auditor's office shortly your formula and the application of it for all the entities within your county. And I'll know then if there's any error involved.
Okay. What about inside millage?
Yes, with your annexations, I can see where your inside millage could be at risk. I know it's very complicated. I've already read your tax rate sheets from the Department of Taxation, and believe me, I really wondered at it. So yes, we would look at everything like that.
So we do have some areas, small areas, that have been annexed into the city of Brookville. So since it's already annexed, is this just discussion upon preventing further annexation so the township would be able to keep more of the inside millage then?
Well, what's occurred is that I have not further analyzed all of it, but I suspect that you are not receiving what you could with your inside millage. Similarly, the reduction factors for your voted levies.
Okay, I'm interested.
As I work through any of this, I will give you updates, share everything I have once we're retained. And as Travis indicated, all the information is passed on to the fiscal officer. And I want to emphasize that I do not approach any county official or anyone else without your permission.
So would you need something from me as being the fiscal officer to start out, or you're just collecting the information and then reviewing with the board?
Yes. I would like to see a most recent appropriation. And do you use a tax budget? I know you don't have to now.
No, not from Montgomery County.
No, okay. So let me think about that. That's a very good question. And I will let you know. I think definitely I could use your assistance in that regard.
Okay.
The next step, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
So essentially what the next step would look like, obviously like the details and the exact numbers and everything is proprietary, obviously, until an agreement's made that you guys want to bring us on. And once that's the case, I know, Mindy, I was able to give you the contract. I don't know if you have had a chance to share that with the board yet, by chance.
I have not, and I'm actually printing another copy of it right now. Travis and I had discussed the contract, and there was some verbiage in it I wasn't real thrilled with, and they did change that to meet something that I was thrilled with. I figured if we were going to go forward, I would share it, and I can shoot you guys that email real quick if you want to review it.
Yeah, and what obviously what's great is we have John here with us. I know obviously we had that correction done for you, Mindy, which was no problem. I have John here, so if there is any questions, I know he'd be happy to answer anything there. But essentially, once you guys sign and agree to take us on, then from there, it's no longer proprietary. We're going to do our more thorough analysis. As our preliminary one, like I said, has shown that we believe we can get you that additional revenue. And from there, and excuse me, is it Rhonda? Is that your name? You're the fiscal officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then essentially, Rhonda, you're really going to be our primary contact in sharing all these things with you. And like I said, our goal is to also let you in on the process to knowing. So we want to also help empower you so that once, we're finished with, at least for this year and what we can show you, you're going to feel empowered as the years go on to make the most of, your role as a fiscal officer for Perry.
So is this a percent that you would earn, or
Yes,
I do have the contract, but I don't know if it's the correct one, Mindy, and I'm
Just shot me
reviewing.
the new one. I just sent an email to the three of you, and in Article 2, where it says compensation,
Mm-hmm.
is that the township will pay 25% of the
yeah.
amounts received by the township during a 4-year period from each separate and distinct revenue identification pursuant to this agreement. So there was that, and then down below, in the event the township does not immediately seek any portion of the revenue identified, but does receive such revenue thereafter, the township will pay the percentage of said revenue for the period and under the terms set forth above. So, and it's my understanding with this again, that if there's no money found, there's no money paid.
And again, Minnie and Rhonda, it's with your approval, being the fiscal officer, that we rely on. That is to say, if we do say, here's money we gained for you, you have to look at it and say, yes, this is due to our efforts, so that you will be the final word in that.
So if there's areas where you find revenue, additional revenue for our township, is this locked in then? Will we each year receive that, or do we need to?
Basically, it's annual revenue. And actually, it increases, as you will know, in future years, hopefully.
So if there's revenue out there, who is that Rhonda's responsibility then to go to try to get it, or is that you guys?
Oh, we'll get it, but only with your permission will we approach anyone. And you want that. And I would prefer if Rhonda would join us, or any of you if you wanted to.
Okay.
We're trusting them to do the legwork on it.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly right.
And it's
I've really enjoyed working with local officials. It's great.
So it's 25% over a 4-year period.
Right. And with the approval of your fiscal officer, that indeed we did gain that revenue. It was through our efforts.
And on average, what have you been able to provide townships, if you have a
We're
problem?
literally millions, because some of the townships I represented in the area I live, Summit County and Stark, are really large townships, as my own was. And so I was delighted when they all formed the Urban Township Association, because there definitely is a difference in various townships. But because of that, the city of Akron received $1 million a year from me. the county auditors sometimes do make mistakes, and sometimes a deputy within the auditor is told to do a particular task, such as distributing, say you're under by a local government fund. And what occurs, I think, is that historically, from one of those auditors prior to the current auditor, a mistake got into it. And then that mistake continues on in the distribution of that fund.
Mhm.
So not necessarily the auditor or the deputy are currently working there, but someone prior to that. And it's just assumed that that's the way to do it. But no, it isn't. There's a lawful way to do it, and that's how it should be done.
Right. And what's hard to give you an average number, Jason, is like I said, Barbara mentioned Akron, just so many different townships and what the sizes and what their current revenues are.
Right.
It's hard to give you that exact number just because one, I don't want to give you a false like promise or hope of what you expect. But whenever we see, when we do it, essentially we want it to be win-win. We don't want to waste your time and we don't want to waste ours, be upfront. So once we see that there's a significant amount to where it's like, hey, this would be worth it for us to be on your guys' board call today. It's going to be worth it for the money that you'll get, and it'll be worth it for the money we get paid.
Right.
That's when we agree, because there's been times when, we've talked to a local trustee, a fiscal officer, and Barbara and I look at the numbers with our preliminary analysis, and we're just like, they're not too bad. I don't know if, for what we would charge, if that'd really be a win-win for either of us. So,
Right.
but from what we look at with you guys, that we believe that it would be definitely worth your time, and we believe it's worth ours.
Right. So when
So
I asked for average, I guess a better question would be, what percentage of their annual revenue do you tend to find? Is it 10%? And I know every municipality is different. I get that. But for similarly sized townships to us, is there a percentage that you guys tend to
You do
find?
have an excellent assessed value.
Mhm.
So if it's taxes and it continues, the idea is that this year it might be, say, 60,000, I get you, hypothetically. But then that continues and increases for years in the future, because it's a mistake has been made, got corrected, and that correction continues on annually. So
But could it decrease also?
it's a decent amount.
It could increase, but what's the possibility that it would decrease?
But with that many, were you asking something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said that there's a possibility that that amount could increase, but what is the potential that it could decrease?
I've never heard it to decrease, such as inside millage increases each year because your assessed value goes up. Certain other funds, such as the undivided local government fund, have been stagnant for several years. Motor vehicle license funds, I haven't checked them recently, but basically they don't increase, but some of the funds have been such as the MBL and the other funds have been at a standstill for a while.
On some of this that you've had to go to bat to try to get the money for the township, have you ever had to go to court for those, or how does that work? Because
Here's how it goes. It's a county budget commission. You approach it first.
Say it again.
The county budget commission.
Okay.
And the county auditor. And so it's the county auditor you approach to see if you can correct the error at that level. And then if that doesn't work, you then you file an appeal with the Board of Tax Appeals.
Okay.
And they sit as though they're the budget commission. And so that has happened. We have taken things to the BTA, even to the Supreme Court. But I've only done it when I knew you're absolutely right. I mean,
and how long does a process like that take?
I haven't done it recently, but probably a year at least. And John could answer most of those questions. He's been the one that did the filing when we needed it.
And if something like that would happen, that say that they were entitled to money and they won't give it to us or whatever, we have to go that way. Who's responsible when we go to court? Is that the township or you guys take that on? You take that
With the
responsibility.
township, but your attorney represents you.
So the
That
township has to
John.
pay. If you can get us 60,000, but they won't give us the 60,000, we go to court, the township's responsible for paying that, the court costs.
John, no, your payment is strictly on a percentage of our revenue.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. But if we have to go to court to get that money, then the township is responsible for paying the attorneys.
I think
No,
I can
John.
clear that up.
Say it again.
I can clear that up. for you.
Okay,
Under the contract that you may have with Beckett and Berenice, they will pay all the legal costs associated with obtaining the revenue for the township. And that's where I come in. If my services are necessary at any level, whether it's a legal memorandum at the get-go, to set forth the legal basis of why the township may be entitled to the money, a meeting at the budget commission with the county auditor, the county prosecutor to lay out the merits of the township's position with regard to any revenue that the company, the firm finds for the township, even up to filing an appeal at the Board of Tax Appeals, and if necessary, up to the Ohio Supreme Court until it's concluded legally. All the costs are borne by Beckett and Berenice, and that would be my work. And the township, the only thing they would pay is what's included in the contract before you, and that's just that strict percentage for 4 years, and that's all. Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
There
Thanks,
is
John.
a section there that said that that says BVFA will retain legal counsel at its own expense to research and review all pertinent laws and prepare legal memoranda establishing our right to revenue.
That's right.
But it doesn't say that if it actually goes to court, who pays the court costs.
Well,
So that's something that we'll potentially want to clarify just in case.
if it's not in there, that might be a good idea.
It is not in there. Yeah, it says you guys will prepare everything, but that's kind of where it stops. You'll prepare the legal memoranda establishing the township's right to revenue. It also doesn't state that you would represent us. It just states you'll prepare everything, but then what? Do we take all of the documents to our attorney and go, or do, you know, what happens next? And then do we need to retain you independently as counsel if we're going to follow through on that route? So that's something we would want to clarify just in case that ever comes up.
In the past,
Yes.
the way it's worked is if the township does proceed to go to the Board of Tax Appeals, then there would be, at the very least, a resolution adopted by the trustees authorizing, in my case, John Berenice, to file the appeal or take whatever legal action was necessary. And that's always been sufficient in everything prior to this. But the language in the contract, you make a good point. If it's not there, and just to have a comfort level that it should be inserted.
Yeah, my goal is to protect this township. We're on a financial thin line, as I've discussed with Travis and Barbara, and we can't necessarily afford to do anything that will cost us any money. And if there is any remote possibility at all that we're going to get into this and say, yeah, well, we need to put X dollars forward, then that's something that we need to know ahead of time, because we are not going into something that's going to cost us money or lose money. We're looking for gaining some money. And we need to be real clear on that.
Of course. I appreciate your
Yes.
diligence in seeing that. I think that's definitely something that we can go into and amend and then send you a new contract Mindy, for you guys to look over. I appreciate your diligence in noting that.
Oh, good.
That really is an excellent point, Minnie, and I don't know if it's overlooked in other contracts. It never occurred to me to include it. And we will amend it to include whatever is necessary regarding the attorney fees in the event that's necessary.
Yeah, I think for our own simplicity and the citizens that we are answering to when it comes to the simplicity, we need as much spelled out in as little, as much detail or broken down as much as possible, because it might seem explanatory or self-explanatory to you guys. It might be a gray area to us, but if anyone questions us on, well, did they, will they, can they, we want to be able to have the answers up front and say, yes, it's all contractual, and make sure that everything we're doing, has a set of guidelines based on a legal agreement.
Mm-hmm. Very understandable.
So we'll look it over all four of you, and we will in fact amend the contract to include exactly what your concern is. And if there's any other part of the contract that you see that you would like to see changed, just let us know.
I appreciate that.
Of course, and just want to know what's most accommodating for you all. Obviously, I know I've been in touch with Mindy directly, obviously primary the course of time thus far. I'm happy to CC all of you. I don't know if that's necessary for all of you. I mean, Rhonda, obviously you and I would be discussing. Do you want me to CC you on it when I send an amended contract? How would you guys prefer my contact to be with you? Email, phone, what would work best?
Email is fine.
And should I just continue to talk with you, Mindy? Rhonda, I assume you want me to just have the two of you. Is that sufficient, or how would you like me to do that?
I'm ready to hand the reins over to Rhonda if she's ready to take it. At this point, I spoke with you. I liked your services. I wanted you to come and share the information with the other two trustees and Rhonda that you've shared with me in the past.
Okay.
So she will clearly be your primary source of contact, and then I guess things will bounce through the other trustees and me anyway.
Of course. Rhonda, is the email on the Township website the best email you want me to contact you at?
Yes.
Okay. So I will be reaching out to you directly when we amend that and get that to you, and you guys can look it over. Is there any other additional questions you guys have, or anything you want to add to it?
I think the amended contract should probably go to all four of us.
I think so too.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just that initial step,
Yes.
that go to all four of us, and then we can look it over and discuss amongst ourselves at our next work session or whatever. And then Rhonda would be the one to get back with you and communicate after that.
Perfect. All right.
Is that okay with you, Rhonda?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm just kind of throwing you in there, you've been voluntold.
That's great. Appreciate it. Okay.
Anyone else have questions for him?
No questions here.
And I think if there are any other amendments that we think of, then we will forward them to Rhonda and let Rhonda forward them to you, because Jason and Missy and I can't communicate amongst ourselves.
Of course.
So Rhonda will be kind of, if you don't mind, again, Rhonda, be our central hub for that.
Yeah.
And then rather than three of us send you our ideas, we will send them to Rhonda and let Rhonda forward it out. So you're not getting a whole bunch of emails from all three of us.
Yeah, I think that works. Obviously, I think that's great, Mindy. I think it's perfect. I think that works. Well, we will get to it, guys. If you don't have any other questions, we really appreciate your time. Mindy, it's been really great to get to know you. And Rhonda, I look forward to getting to know you more, and we'll all be in touch if you guys don't have anything else for us.
All right, thank you for your time, Travis. Barbara, it's lovely seeing you as always.
Can't wait to see you in person, all of you.
I wish we could.
Isn't that great?
Online conference thing is like not gonna do it.
I know. Fortunately, you guys had it at 7 o'clock, because if it were 6, you'd be hearing my 1-year-old son come and barge in several times. So it's only dogs barking tonight.
You've got my basset hound instead, yeah.
It's all good. I got a bulldog in the next room. He's just napping, so we can't hear his snoring. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll all be in touch, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, we
Nice meeting you,
appreciate
John.
it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. So then the next topic that we had for the work session was the MVRPC membership. And from our last meeting, I took down some action items to get with 2 former trustees, Ms. Stanifer and Mr. Peters, which I did. I had a really good conversation with both of them. As I was talking with Mr. Peters, he understands where the township is. And basically what he told me was, if it just comes down to the membership fees, then that's what you have to look at. So if we can afford the membership fee that we received in the invoice from the MVRPC, then we can move forward that way. We'll assign our points of contact, etc. As far as I've been able to find, I didn't have any luck finding anything that was actually beneficial to Perry Township from the MVRPC. The only thing that I found was the what if, a highway is planned to come through, which was brought up a couple times in the past couple months. That happened 25 years ago or so, and I don't think that there's any threat to that right now. Definitely not within the next calendar year. And we could easily forego our membership for a year if the $1,500 was necessary for us to keep in the general fund, and then look at and reevaluate towards the end of this year, rejoining for next year. So for me, if the money's necessary, I have no problem with cutting the membership for this year. I did want to hear what the other trustees thought.
I think we're probably good without it. I sat on their board, I went to their meetings, I talked to Brian all the time. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what we as a township got from it.
Yeah.
We don't have buses, we don't have bridges, we don't have a major highway. And I can't help but think with the advent of social media, if there is a major highway that's going to be coming through, we're going to find out from other ways than the regional planning committee. I didn't even know about whatever is going in across the street from Rite Aid. And that seems to be a big conversation topic that people know about. So, I think we hold on to the money this year. And if it gets to be July, August, September, and we're like, oh my God, we wish we had done this, we'll know for next year. Yeah. If we don't miss it, then we don't have to do it again.
The one thing that stands out to me, and this is one of the, I don't want to say it's a perk, but it's just Perry Township being Perry Township, is that we don't have any active developments. We don't have any subdivisions coming in. I mean, we have kind of that one that's up on the boundary,
We don't have regional planning.
but we don't have regional planning for it. So, you know, unless something major happened with a farming property and they decided to get rid of their land and a developer was to buy it, we'd still have plenty of time to work through possible jet opportunities or anything
We'll have
else.
3 years of citizens arguing before it ever gets to become a fruition.
Well, yeah,
Just
that's,
saying.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, the benefit there of planning is not something that we even have on our radar. So there again, I think for a year, we would be good and we could revisit it next year when it makes more sense.
I think we're in a position to cut costs. Rhonda had a concern about the unified trash district and if that was connected with MVRPC, but I think they're separate entities.
That is, I did talk to Jerry Peters as well, and the landfill or the super fun cleanup would be through solid waste, not Miami Valley Regional Planning Committee.
Okay, I was thinking that was it, but I didn't want to outspeak, you know, if I wasn't right. So.
Missy, I see you thinking there.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what Mr. Peters and Miss Stanford, Mr. Peters said if we had the money, go ahead and do the membership. But what did he say? What's the benefit of it? Because I'm like Mindy, I went to a couple of the meetings before and I just kind of sat there like none of this applies to us.
And same here. I've gone to the meetings and I've been a fly on the wall. I've done my gaze.
Yes.
I've done a number of things in support of both the TAC and the disaster recovery meetings that they hold. The key is that from talking with Mr. Peters, if we want to cover our bases and we have the money to spend the money, right? If the money is a contentious issue, then there's low risk to foregoing it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and revisit it annually saying, do we want to or do we not want to? The key part of that conversation was the financial status of the township.
Right.
Right. If this $1,500 wasn't a big deal, it wouldn't have been a big deal. We would just kind of coast through it and
Right.
continue to participate. From my perspective, I think that's a lot of money to just let ride. And the added condition of as we attend it, that takes a percentage of our time that is then only billable to the general fund. So we're hitting the general fund twice.
Right.
So
right. Because I just saw where Brookville had joined, and theirs is like 2,500, but they're completely different. They have a highway, they have bridges, and everything else. So yeah,
They're looking to bring in some restaurants and some buildings and other things. We're not.
No, exactly. Okay.
So
I think of it kind of like if it's your family and you're on a very tight budget because of COVID, income, whatever, and someone who has professional memberships to groups or clubs or magazine subscriptions, and you suddenly have to cut a few things.
Right.
What do you use the least, or what benefits you the least that you really don't have to get?
Right.
And if it was a family, we'd be cutting memberships left and right. And so I think you got to kind of think of it, it's a business, but it's the same principle.
Exactly.
What do we not need that we can do without and not have a negative effect? This is a membership in a club, an organization.
Right.
You know, it's just a membership.
The gym that I never go to.
Right, exactly. I mean, or a professional association. I mean, I belong to 3 of them that I send money every year because I can say I'm a part of this professional organization. Who cares?
Right.
You know? So I see this as pretty much along that same line.
Okay, gotcha.
So Rhonda, let me ask you this question. Since we earmarked those funds as part of the annual appropriation, what activity do we need to actually have a resolution at the Board of Trustees meeting to unallocate those funds if we pull the trigger and not move forward with the MVRPC membership?
No, because it's in other expenses, so I can use that for any other expenses. It's not
Good.
for like travel and meeting or things like that, or
And
insurance or anything. It's just under the
Right.
other expenses line.
so in a parallel movement of funds, or use of funds, I should say, I know we've talked in the past about how I use a lot of the general fund in my percentage because of the website and Facebook and stuff like that that I manage. If I recall, when that woman came in from was it iPanda,
Yeah.
and just as an example, to design and maintain a website for a year was like $1,200, right? Something, just planting a seed here. Something down the road, I had said that I was going to manage a website for 2 years and see if we could get somebody in to do it, because it would then free up both my percentage of time against the general fund as well as possibly our hosting cost as well. So just something to keep in mind, that not doing something like this could actually really pay benefit to the township by taking a good chunk of the strain that I put against the general fund in my monthly percentages. So something to keep in mind.
Well, I also think we need to not reallocate it or think about it for anything right now. If we have that money, let's let it sit there and ride.
That's what I'm
'Cause keep
saying,
in mind, we have a levy that we're being forced to put on that nobody wants. We have bills that are going to come due. We've got lawsuits. We're going to have miscellaneous expenses coming up through this year. We need that cushion.
Right. And I'm not saying that, right. So I wasn't saying that for this year. I'm saying this for years down the road.
And
Yeah,
Jason,
well-
Keep in mind.
you have created this and in my eyes, you've done the hard work. So if she just comes in and kind of maintains it,
If she takes the content and basically just rehosts it,
right,
it'd be really
And
easy to do. Yeah.
right. And we may even be talking a lower fee of
Mhm.
what she said. So
That's what I'm hoping.
Exactly.
you've done the legwork, you've created it and everything else. So there is a possibility, which I don't blame you. I'm sure you get tired of.
Well,
Sitting
and
there.
it's not that I get tired of it
It's
necessarily.
time consuming.
It's that I charge a lot of time. It takes a large
Yeah.
percentage
Oh, yeah.
of my time monthly.
Yeah.
So just
Yes.
between the scanning of documents,
Right.
uploading stuff, and editing
Right.
the page. So anything that brings a lower cost with a higher benefit for the township, I am
Right.
more than in favor for.
Right.
So
Okay.
okay, so we can then we'll chew on this membership, and we will talk about it at the February Board of Trustees meeting.
Sounds good.
The last thing that I had on here was just a general discussion and coordination regarding the OTA conference, since it is online, and I'm sure everybody got their hand-delivered swag bag in the UPS
Come on, Liam.
within the last
I
couple of
liked
days.
it.
I've been looking through at the agenda, and the one thing I was a little disappointed in is the fact that they cut down the parallel discussions. They kept it more on a singular track instead of kind of a choose your own track kind of a thing. And so there's not as much variety of information to
Yeah, I
be able to
noticed that.
consume, but it's still good information. I saw a lot of things on there that I can't wait for. So we haven't had a chance to talk about the OTAs. So if there's anything that we need to divide and conquer on due to other responsibilities, constraints, anything else, we can provide that, I guess, through Karen, and let Karen know, what definitely someone is attending. And that way, if there's something that we collectively want to be able to get information on, and some people aren't able to go, we at least have someone there.
Did you look at the book, Jason?
I didn't open the package yet.
There's only one session per time slot each
That's
day.
what I was saying. Yeah. So I went to the website, and they have the app again this year. And the website basically is a web version of the app.
Yeah.
And they have a singular agenda that you can still favorite the different things, so that it'll probably send you a text message like it did last year saying, hey, such and such is getting ready to start. Here's the link.
Right.
So yeah, I've been going through the website for the OTA conference this year, and looking at the different discussions and favorited a couple that I definitely want to make sure that I'm in on. The good thing is, you know, it's while you do miss out on the networking, it can be much more easily consumable online. It allows you to multitask. So you're not necessarily, you know, in Columbus chained to a chair. So you have some
I like it.
flexibility, which is a good
Rather
thing.
be in Columbus.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not, like you said, it's not the same as being able to go there, but I think we can still get some good information, and just wanted to kind of earmark this time for anyone who had questions, things they want to talk about regarding the OTA.
I put in a roundtable topic. They were asking for suggestions prior to the 29th, and I can't remember exactly what the verbiage was that I chose, but you know, one of my big pet peeves is communication when we can't communicate.
Mhm.
How on earth, I mean, this is the biggest struggle for me in running a business or being involved in a township or orchestration of anything, is how does a team work when you're not allowed to speak with each other? And we have a lot of these meetings and we go through Karen, but my Lord, there's got to be more
There is
tricks to the
an
trade.
old technology from the 70s and 80s called token-based communication, and that's
Paper airplanes, what's that? Yeah.
yeah, where we have to send the token to Karen, and then Karen sends the token to the other people, and then the other people send a
Right.
token to Karen, and then she sends
Well,
it.
and that's what it is.
It's a very basic network design, but you know, it's what we have, most definitely.
And in the 70s and prior to, when townships were at their height and peak without technology, I can see that. But now there's a lot more business, there's a lot more legislation, there's a lot more financing, there's a lot more crime, and there are a lot more things to discuss.
Yeah. There is, and there's more constraints, right? Based on the
Exactly.
Sunshine Law evolution and everything else that's happened in the last 10 years, it's become, you know, you actually have to have more meetings to be informed, to share information, to be able to work through a number of things. And I think we've evolved over the last year or so in that regard, setting up working sessions and doing different, you know, even talking about doing quarterly town halls at some point, where we open up the channels of communication with residents and let them talk with us, instead of us constantly just kind of getting in, hitting our agenda, bang, 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 and adjourn. You know, trying to broaden the channels of communication, not just between us, but between the residents and us as well.
Hey, Jason,
Yes.
I actually got this computer fixed. I have a question.
Yes.
This is the first conference that I'm going to be involved in. We're still planning on having the township offices open same time, correct?
That is a good question. We've actually closed the offices in the
Really
past.
don't. That's true.
So, Rhonda, what are your plans the week of the OTA? Are you going to be coming in and participating from your computer there?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And I think it's like, what, 9 to 5, 10 to 5, something like that.
Well,
I remember the
I think
agenda.
that's going to be up to Rhonda and Karen if they want to have to jump up from the middle of a session and go running over to take someone's trash bill.
So the key is that in the past, we've closed the offices for the duration of the OTAs. If you want to look at the agenda and provide hours that you will be unavailable due to certain topics you're going to be consuming during the OTAs, that's doable. Or we can just say that the township offices are closed for the OTAs. Just like
Well, the only bad thing about that is our tax bill, our trash bills are due on February 1st or 2nd. I can't remember now off the top of my head. So usually I get slammed with, bills at that time, and people are coming in and looking at the conferences, the topics and things. I'm only seeing one zoning, and it's on Wednesday, I think, from 12:30 to 1:30.
Well, I know that your predecessor went to several different meetings and briefings during the OTAs.
Okay.
So you are empowered to consume what you feel you need to consume. If there's
Okay.
stuff that you want to participate in, feel free. If there's stuff that if you want to only keep it to the zoning, that's your choice as well. You know, there is no forced participation here. It's just it's an opportunity to meet and even virtually network a bit with other zoning administrators or township administrators across the state. So, you know, you can take what you need to take from those interactions and limit it to that. It's honestly your choice. I don't think there would be a problem with if we close the offices, but I think that's something that, you know, is more along the lines of who's going to be there. And if they, like Mindy said, if you're available to get up and process bills or to provide service while multitasking and taking in those conferences and being able to ask questions and learn the stuff you want to learn, then we could do that. If we need to block off hours or change the hours for the week of the OTA, we can do that too.
Okay.
Karen, I've cleared my whole schedule for the week. So if
you muted Mindy. You're still muted, Mindy.
I didn't even look up. I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. No, Karen, well, my box turned yellow, so I thought I was still speaking. What I was saying is if you let me know what classes that you're interested in doing, I've cleared my entire week.
Okay.
And I can work with the babysitter, and I can try to be there during the courses that you want to take to help out with trash payments or whatever.
I just had to close it up, you know, since we've got the new hours set. They know I'm going to be there 11 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 9 to 3 on Thursdays and Fridays. So I do try to be there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's one on Friday that I was saying it's how to resolve problem properties. And that might be one that you see as interesting. That might be a zoning thing.
And Karen has asked me, and I told her I didn't personally, I don't see a reason why we have to shut the office because they're short-term classes and you can just get up, and I know that there'll probably be some people come in, but I don't think there'll be, you know, a steady stream where she'll miss it.
Yeah.
So you may miss 5 minutes of it and then go back in your office. So I didn't see a reason why we should juggle everything.
Well, and that's a good point too, because we know that at the end, I mean, they provided slides last year. I'm guessing they're probably going to provide possibly the recorded sessions anyhow. You would just miss the ability to ask questions, which is fine.
Right.
So yeah, there is more flexibility with that. And you know, if that's where Karen is if that's where Karen's comfortable, then by all means, you know, I want to empower her to do what makes sense for her.
No. And then, like you said, if there's other classes she wants to take, it doesn't have to do with zoning, but I just didn't, personally, I don't see a reason why we have to shut it down.
Right.
You know, because it's just like, you know, so.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. I really didn't want to shut it down, so okay.
I think if we were in Columbus, we'd obviously shut down,
Well,
but if we're going to be here, we can work around it.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns? Mindy showing her swag.
I'm sitting here like, yeah, now I was just kind of glancing through it. Here's our little, there we go.
Yep.
There's my plug. I think we covered everything that was on the agenda.
Okay, well, if that's it, I guess I go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, I'll second. Jason seconds.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes,
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you coming
Thanks.
out tonight.
we're adjourned. Say hi.
Hi.
All right.